When I was a kid, third grade, someone said something to me that didn't make sense at the time. His name was Bill Buckley. He walked up to me like he already knew me, like we'd met in some other version of life that I didn't remember yet. He looked me straight in the face and said, "You're going to be the next Bill Gates." I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know who Bill Gates was. I didn't even know why someone would say that to another kid. So I nodded, and I went back to being a kid. That's how it goes with moments like that. They don't announce themselves, they don't come with music, they just sit there quietly waiting years to make sense, if they ever do. Years passed. High school. That's when Bill Buckley came back into my life for real. By then, people already had opinions about him. None of them were accurate. Bill was overweight. Short khaki shorts year-round like he'd made a private agreement with Summer and refused to renegotiate. White sneakers, always the same kind. Socks pulled too high, defiant, unapologetic. Golf shirts, sometimes clean, sometimes with a milk stain near the collar that looked like it had been there long enough to earn rent. Glasses. A baseball cap that read, "Never forget 9/11." People noticed him, but they didn't see him. They gave him a nickname, the Wizard Hog. It wasn't kind. I never used it. I just called him Buck, sometimes Buckwiz, because he was a Buckley, and because he really was a wizard. Bill was the smartest computer mind I ever met, and I don't say that lightly. He didn't just use computers, he understood them. The bones, the wiring, the logic underneath the logic. He could look at a system and tell you where it would fail before it ever did. He could explain things without sounding like he was trying to prove anything. Coding came naturally to him. So did hacking. Yes, hacking. He told me he could do it. Straight-faced, calm. Like it was no different than knowing how to fix a bike chain or rewire a lamp. But he chose not to. That mattered to him. Bill had a moral compass, a strong one. He believed that knowledge came with responsibility, and that just because you can doesn't mean you should. He understood how fragile systems were, and how easy it was to break things that people depended on. That restraint made him different. He once told me something I never forgot. He said the only person he'd ever met who was better with computers than him was my brother. That stopped me, because my brother is a computer genius. That's true. Always has been. But my brother never used it, never applied it, never turned it into anything. He let it sit there, unused, like a gift left unopened in the corner of a room. That makes me sad every day. I love my brother, and I worry about him. I worry about his health. I worry about him giving up. But that isn't the point of this story. The point is that Bill saw something in people. He noticed talent. He noticed potential. And he didn't resent it. That says a lot about a person. I got to know Bill Buckley best on the bus. That's where the real friendship happened. We were both taking classes at a local place called Bocas. Bill was studying computers. I was studying TV and movies. Two different futures riding the same worn-out bus. The seats were cracked vinyl. The smell was always a mix of damp coats, old coffee, and something metallic you couldn't quite place. The windows fogged up in winter, streaked in rain the rest of the year. We sat next to each other because the bus was crowded. Then we kept sitting next to each other because it felt right. Sometimes I'd bump $1 from him. I didn't need the dollar. That wasn't the point. I wanted to see if he'd give it to me. He always did. No hesitation, no questions, no judgment. Just reached into his pocket and handed it over like generosity was automatic. That's who Bill was. Quietly good. On those bus rides, he talked about computers the way some people talk about philosophy or religion, not in grand speeches. Just matter-of-fact observations about how systems were built and how they were being ruined. He talked about companies locking things down, about updates that didn't fix problems but hid them, about how control was slowly replacing understanding. I didn't fully get it at the time. I do now. Years later, here I am, trying to build something. A publishing business, books, ebooks, media, stories. I believe people need to read again. I believe they need entertainment that doesn't treat them like idiots. I believe stories matter. I've done it before. I've built online accounts. I've monetized them. I've made things work. But technology keeps stopping me. Passwords disappear, accounts lock, phones change. Security systems don't forgive mistakes. I downgraded my phone to save money. That's when everything fell apart. email accounts tied to numbers I don't have anymore, recovery systems that lead to dead ends, automated RESP.